glad to have everybody tuning in to In Other Words. I'm Dr. Alfonso Sanders, sitting right here at the historic Club Ebony. And I do have a guest here that I'd like for people to know a lot about. And this is E.L. Conrad. We know him as Stagger Lee.
There you go.
And Miss Mary Shepard, she talked very highly of you in the time that you guys spent in this club. And since it's going through its renovation, I'm honored to be able to sit on the stage now. We're right here in front of the drum set and a lot of places, because I remember, in my youth, well, I say youth, but younger than the older jazz men.
Gotcha.
I mean, blues guys.
Yes, sir.
And I was learning to do the jazz and the blues at the same time.
Right.
I had a guy tell me one time, he said, man, if you can't play the blues, you can't play jazz. I said, well, I got to go to find me some blues spots. And Club Ebony was one of those places.
Right.
And everybody said, well, man, you go to Club Ebony, that's where the blues is happening.
That's right.
So I would drive over to Indianola, man.
Right.
Every Sunday evening.
Okay.
So I'm going to find a spot. But when I got here, I found Miss Mary Shepard to be one of those people who was always greeting everybody. Didn't know anything about anybody, but Miss Mary Shepard was always out greeting everybody and welcoming you into the club,
That's right.
And so she told me, said, well, you got to talk to Stagger Lee. And so here we are together. So what are your fondest memories, of this club, and how did you become involved with Club Ebony in your early years?
Well, first of all, I've been knowing Miss Mary Shepard pretty much all my adult life, even before my adult life. Mm-hmm. And she and I, as I said, we go way back, and I became her DJ in the early 2000s.
Okay.
And even before I became her DJ, she was very instrumental in my life, because I did a CD a while back, and she promoted me, and she helped me every way she could. I mean, she even took the time when B.B. King would come here. She talked to B.B., I'm going to say Mr. King, and she set aside some time for me to personally meet him so he could give me some insight on how the business really works. So even before I became her DJ, she was a friend, and she's more so like a family member. She's like a mom, a second mom. And so I love her. I've always respected her. And so I'm her DJ, I'm her son, I'm her friend.
So she gives that impression that she takes you right in when she meets you like a family person.
She does.
So when you were DJing here, well, like, I know the stage areas changed around. Which stage were you? Because there's 3 stages in here.
Well, there was a stage, on this right side over here. I mean, I'm sure you can't see me pointing, but it was not where it is right now. And the stage was a little bit bigger, but where it is right now, the place looks great. And like I said, when I was here, I guess it would have been around 2005, 6, somewhere in there. And the stage was to my right, and it was the place to be back then.
Yeah. So when she was hosting them, she always said that if she didn't have a live band in here, she said she found out that she had to have a DJ in here to keep some of the young people coming to the club.
That's right.
So she often, I guess say often, but she would mention to me that she said, well, Stagger Lee, he keeps the young people happy, entertained in here. So I was going to imagine what that life was like, man, with Mary Shepard, because she was used to the blues and she adapted quite well to modern music.
Miss Shepard, she and I will collaborate a lot as to what to do to keep the crowd coming. And Stagger Lee, as far as locally, the fame I got was Miss Shepard was very instrumental in that fame. Stagger Lee became a local household name, and that's in part to Miss Mary Shepard. And we would be on the radio every Friday and sometimes Saturday. So we would broadcast live, and people from all around the Delta would tune in, and man, it was just standing room only.
Yeah. So. Well, look, now that we got one main stage in there, because I know you used to have those several stages.
Right.
But do you see yourself doing things in here again?
Well, I'm a different guy now. I'm not a DJ now. I'm a Christian guy now. So
Well, you just
So I'm still staggerizing, but I'm staggerizing for the Lord now.
You're staggerizing.
So
I like
so
that.
so it depends on what the program is and what's going on inside the club. I would love to come back. I just love the setup here.
Oh yeah.
So yes, I'm still Stagger Lee, but I'm not Stagger Lee that I used to be.
But you know, I told Miss Mary too. I said, Miss Mary, you kind of been a saint, you know, of a sort. You know, hasn't been kind of like a status quo religious effort, you know, to make, you know, in the name of a church. But she kept this place moving like a sanctuary.
Right.
You know, like people came in and she would feed the hungry.
Right.
She'd take care of anybody who seemed like they needed help.
Exactly.
You know, no matter what it was, and to be a part of that, you know, that in her lifestyle, I always thought it was very unique.
Right.
You know, to get things like that done, man. So,
Yes.
well, we do know too today, you know, that you're doing quite a bit of poetry. So, you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, sir. I released a couple of books some years back. I've got 2 books out. I'm my 3rd book now, and
Give us some titles.
the name of the book, the first book is called Reality Life Happens, and it's all poetry. The second book is called Messages, again, all poetry. And I just released a CD. It's poetry and instrumental music, and that was done about 3 weeks ago, really.
Okay.
And so,
Well, can you tell us how to locate you?
I have a website. It's called the website is poetelconrad.com, and you can find me on Facebook, Poet E.L. Conrad, all the websites. And I'm glad to say that the CD I just released, anywhere and everywhere that you hear or purchase music, from iTunes to Pandora to Amazon, if you just type in my name, Poet E.L. Conrad, you'll be able to pull me up. And the CD is called He Deserves to Be Served.
Okay. Beautiful, man.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Well, I'm sitting here in Club Ebony with Mr. Walter Pitts. To my knowledge, one of the first white Americans to come into this club, according to Miss Mary Shepard, when she owned it. So, Walter, can you at least share with us some of those experiences, like, and maybe even why you wandered into this club?
Well, I came home from college in 1980, in Christmas of 1980, and at night, on Sunday night, there wasn't anything else going on, so I just started asking around what was going on, and they told me about coming down here, and I just came down here, and I knew lots of the black people in town anyway, so they welcomed me, and I became good friends with Mary Shepard after that, and she calls me her white son.
Her white son. Yeah. Well, look. So when you were coming in, what are some of the memorable things that you?
Well, just the unbelievable music that was in here, and I mean, you know, never could tell from one time to the next who was going to be playing. I mean, it may be somebody off the street, and it may be somebody famous, and you know, and I didn't know a lot of the big famous acts. I remember toward the end of the Club Ebony when what guy called Hogman?
Hogman.
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 Yeah. And anyway, he started coming in here, and then I saw Bobby Rush in here a lot, and it was just very entertaining. We had
So after all those years, you know, you kind of weathering the storm. I remember David Lee Durham was
David Lee Durham. That's what I called him.
You called
David. He grew hogs.
Okay.
Right next to my farm up north of town.
Okay, yeah. David was one of the staples here.
Right.
Every Sunday evening, you could depend on him to be here at the club. Yeah.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. So you, after weathering the storm, I say I'm using that facetiously, like weathering the storm, because you always talk about a song. You always wanted somebody to sing. Says a whole lot of, what you said, a whole lot of
4 inches of thunder, not a damn bit of rain. And Mickey Rogers, I rode up to my farm that night because it was a Sunday night. I needed the rain so bad, and I got up to Steiner, and I mean, it was the dangest storm you've ever seen. And I came back, I said, I got another blues song for you, 4 inches of thunder, not a damn bit of rain, because it didn't rain. It did not rain on my farm. On my neighbor's farm, it rained 4 inches.
Yeah, so, but after going through a series like of, you know, witnessing entertainment at the club and, you know, being a part of the growth of the place, what was it like to see B.B. King here for the first time?
you know, that's been so many years ago. And I saw him. I mean, I've seen him so many times. I mean, it was always just unbelievable. And Mary would always get me a front table, so I had a front row view of BB the whole time.
But you just don't remember that first.
You know, I saw him before that in Jackson, down at the Lamar Theater.
Okay.
I think that's the first time I saw BB.
Oh, okay.
Was at the Lamar Theater in Jackson.
Yeah. Well, what about the last time BB was in this place?
Lord, you're gonna stretch my brain. Anytime BB came in here, it was just phenomenal because the King was actually here, and I'll never forget when we announced. I went to the thing over at the Little Theater when we announced that we were going to build the B.B. King Museum. Told him about it for the first time, and he started crying. I mean, it was a very emotional moment for him.
Yeah, and I'd like to maybe get you back to at some point in time because we're going to do a feature on the museum itself. You know, when we get the people looking at the history on that particular thing. What would you have to say about Miss Mary Shepard if there was?
She's the sweetest lady. I mean, she's a dear friend of mine, and every time I came in here, she'd come over and give me a big hug, and all the people in here over the years, we all just became real good friends. And I mean, we'd have dance contests and do all that, and Chicken Hawk and Ronnie Ward, and you know, just a lot of my friends and a lot of the ladies in the crowd, and we just. It was just like going home.
Who would be your favorite person?
Well, besides Alfonso, now I tell you what was amazing to see was when David Lee Durham David Lee Durham was a nobody. I mean, nobody even knew. I'd known him all my life and had no idea he was a musician. And he just got up on the stage, and David Lee was scared of flying. And I said, David Lee, you sing much better now. They're going to take you across the pond. He said, where? They're going to take you to Europe. He said, I ain't getting no airplane.
But you know what's interesting, though? David told me two things before he died. He said, Alfonso, I want to learn to read, and I want to go across them waters.
That's right.
And he did both.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we went to Europe, like Italy.
Yeah, I remember seeing
twice.
y'all. Yeah, I went.
Well, Italy and Switzerland.
Right.
Yeah.
But he told me he wasn't going to do that, but they changed his mind.
But he was such a inspiration to many of us as youth, too, when we were trying to learn to play this blues or be a part of it.
You never saw him without a smile on his face.
Yeah, he was always a happy man.
I mean, he had a little farm right next to my grandfather's farm up there, and he always grew hogs. And that's the reason I called him the Hog Man, because I didn't know he could sing. I just always known him sitting down growing his hogs next to the farm. Yeah. But Bobby Rush has also been very instrumental in here. And, you know, the thing about Bobby is anytime I call Bobby will answer the phone on the second ring. I called him about, I think it was this year, and I called him and I was talking to him. He said, Walter, I got to go. I'm fixing to accept a Grammy. And I said, do what? And he hung the phone up, and I was watching television. He walked right out there and accepted his Grammy. So I didn't even know he was getting a Grammy. So
yeah, but you know, blues is one of the down home, what we call a down home music, right? So most of the musicians are like that.
That's right. I mean,
it's just very laid back, as we say, not pretentious.
Well, that's exactly right. I mean, it's just like you when I met you. I mean, we've known each other now probably 20 years, but it didn't take us 30 years, but it didn't take us one night to become friends.
Yeah, that's
and that's the way, you know, that's the way Mickey Rogers is. I mean, you know, he'll do anything for you. You know, anybody, they'll all do anything for you. BB was always such a kind gentleman and kind to this town and kind to everyone. But you know, he felt like he felt like we were doing him a favor by building a museum rather than the other way around. And it's amazing to see.
I'm Dr. Alfonso Sanders, and I'm here with Judge Abraham Gates, one of the long-time participants in this historic Club Ebony. And I know that you know Mary Shepard very well.
That's correct.
Yeah. So, Judge Gates, it's an honor to have you here.
It's a pleasure to be here,
So,
especially on behalf of Mary Shepard.
Yeah. Well, you know, my time with you here in the Club Ebony was being able to watch you guys come in and enjoy life as brothers and sisters, you know, in a place, you know, knowing that Miss Mary Shepard was taking care of everybody. But my fondest time, of course, with you is having you always come to the stage and sing a song or two. You know, you always love the blues. So,
Well, you know, that was a part of that season in my life when I was having a lot of fun just coming out and being among friends and laughing and joking, singing just because I could. And I appreciated the fact that they would allow me to do that. So that was just something, and sometimes somebody would ask me to do something. At that, like I say, during that season in my life.
yeah, you was part of the family, man. So
Yeah, well, Mary and I go back a long way because when I was in high school, we used to play here in the club. So she wasn't the owner at that time, so in later years she became the owner and the club was still a part of me. So I would come here and enjoy Mary because she was one of the nicest and sweetest, friendliest persons you could find, especially being an owner of a place, a club such as this. And she had good food.
oh yeah.
She had good food. I can remember that good fish, buffalo fish and pork chops. You know, I was the catalyst to a lot of my friends eating pork chop here because she had an amazing pork chop.
I remember that. I remember
Yeah.
that well. Yeah. So, what are some of your fondest memories of Miss Mary?
Well, my fondest memories of Mary, there's so many. I mean, you know, she would always, the times that she would want me to come, and when she was having her big events, when B.B. King was around, she would always want me to come and be doing something on the door, working, doing something, things like that. And when she had issues and problems and things like that, she would always call me, and I would always try to do what I could to help her resolve those issues and things like that. And we communicate back and forth on the phone, and even after she left the club, she would call me and she would talk to me. We would communicate about problems she was having, or even if it was an illness. And one of the things about Mary is that every time she ever called me, she would always ask about Mr. Beamer.
Okay.
How was Mr. Beamer doing? Or how was somebody else that was a part of our group doing? So she was always concerned about other people, seemed like more than herself.
Yeah.
So, and the other fond memories of Mary is that Mary had some people who came here to this club who weren't her kids, but she treated them like they were her children. And I can think about what happened and issues that happened after she left the club. This club was their life, it seemed, because after she left the club and got out of the club business, it seemed like both of them passed within 6 months after she left the club. One's name was Clarence Her, and the other we called Pookie. So this was their life.
Right, I remember.
when it ended-
remember them very well.
Yeah.
And she always had them doing
Always. They were
odds and
always here,
ends,
odds and ends, yeah.
and they would try to take care of her too.
Yeah, take care of her. Well, we, you know, another fond memory is that we used to come to the place and Mary be up front. She had a heater, and she had a lazy boy by the heater. So Beeman and I would come in, and she would be in a lazy boy, and so we serve ourselves.
Right.
all
I
night like that,
remember
you know, it
she'd
was-
have that
it was
seat
a lot
sitting
of
out
fun,
there.
yeah.
She was all comfortable when you
Always
came in.
comfortable. She came in, especially in the winter when the heater was on, and she was sitting in her chair comfortable. She didn't get up. We just made ourselves at home, you know.
She say, "Serve yourself."
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Serve yourself tonight. I'm sitting down.
Man. But that made me think about a lot of other things that happened too when you mentioned Miss Mary, like taking care of a lot of people in this neighborhood. And now we're looking at, even the house next door over there, was unfortunately, is deteriorated. But at the same time, the museum has purchased that house, and they're going to try to get it resolved so they can use it and build more parking space, for the club here.
So people would come in. I never saw a person come in here who may have been hungry and didn't leave out without having gotten something to eat. So Mary was just, I don't know, she was just had compassion.
Yeah, well, I call her Saint Mary just because of that
that's
reason.
A good name.
Yeah,
that's a good name to use for her, because she was complimentary. Mm-hmm. The things she did were complimentary to those kind of things. Mm-hmm. She was a loving person. Mm-hmm. And one of the things about love is that when you have it, you don't have to tell people because it shows.
Right.
It's an action word. And her love showed for this city, this county, this community, and this place. She had it everywhere she went. She had a smile on her face. She was just as humble and with that soft-spoken voice, never raised it, but that was Mary.
Yeah, I remember her very, very well in those spaces.
Yeah.
But looking back at the history of the club itself, I know it's been renovated, and we're looking, at we're here on center stage. This is where BB used to perform back in the day.
And in the later days.
Yeah, and it wasn't as stable as this place right here. But I noticed we're sitting in the very spot that BB King spent most of his time performing right here in this spot. But in terms of like when you were coming out, in the early years, what are some of your fond memories, of entertainers that came through that you remember seeing?
Well, back during that time, people like Joe Simon and all those kind of people.
I hadn't heard Joe Simon's name in a long time.
Well, he was one of the kind of people, him and Howlin' Wolf and Bobby Bland and BB came at that time. So, see, that was back in the 60s, early 60s when I was playing here. I was playing here like around with our group in 1964, 65. Mm-hmm. I was a junior and senior in high school. Mm-hmm. So we were able to come in to play, but we weren't able to come in to participate or sit in to watch the people who were the stars who came here. But we could see them from the outside when they came.
On the outside,
yeah.
That goes back to when you're young. They used to tell me, so you need to go get a mustache.
Yeah, you got to do something because at that time, old people didn't mingle in crowds with kids.
Right.
So we could play here because we were on the stage, and we stayed on the stage unless we went up there to get a Coke or something. You could do that, but you couldn't come out and mingle even when we played here, But those were good times to us. Those are fond memories because this is a historical place. And being able to say that I played here is a part of history to me. I'm a part of this history. So that's significant to me, And as I look at it now, what they have transitioned it to, as opposed to what it was when I came here, it was similar to what it was before they made these changes.
Right.
The stage was still in the same place when I came here as a kid as it was before they changed it. Everything is almost like it was. They've done some renovations to the outside, but they hadn't done a lot of changes to the inside.
Yeah. But they wanted to try to keep it looking like the old club, minus that stage that was in the middle there. So what else do you use other fond memories of Mary?
Well, my fond memories of Mary is that Mary never seemed to forget anybody. She's always talking about all of the people who were instrumental in making her who she was. And I love that fact that she recognized herself as the blues queen, the queen of the blues. Yeah. And she would let you know that no matter who else they call the queen of the blues, she would make you know that Mary Shepard was the queen of the blues
Yeah,
circuit. She was a great entertainer.
Yeah, very proud of herself.
Very proud of her accomplishments.
That's right.
And it's a lot to be proud of, because now you've got to understand that you've got a woman who alone managed this place for years and kept it going. Mm-hmm. You know, of course, sometimes economic crisis and things like that cause some economic issues with people, and things kind of go down a little bit. But even when things were down, she managed to keep it open. Mm-hmm. You know, and that's a lot of credit to be given to her for being able to do that. A lot of people would have closed this business, man, years before, because I come here when things weren't good, but she still kept it going some kind of way.
Well, she had a vision, that's for sure.
Well, for sure she had a vision. It's just that her physical issues prevented her from doing what she probably could have done with this place, because she was sick off and on and things like that. But she kept trying. After she had a stroke and things like that, she still came back here and kept trying to keep this place going. Yeah. And
we all admire her.
That's right. I admire her for that.
For her successes.
That's what you call determination.
And her perseverance.
Yeah, her determination to succeed. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we all should have that, you know.
Well, Judge, this has been a pleasure. We have a very, very rare occasion here to talk to the illustrious and, I might add, warm and kind Janet Webb.
Thank you.
I've been knowing Janet for a few years now, and it's a pleasure to have you at least talking on our podcast. Well, Janet, I know you're a long-time collaborator of many things in the city of Indianola, especially with the musicians and the blues, and you've kind of set a pace for us. So I just want to talk to you a little bit about Miss Mary Shepard.
Okay.
And what has she meant to you in this life of being an owner of Club Ebony?
Mary, I know Walter has already spoken, but Walter is the person who kind of got me here.
Oh, okay.
And Mary she loved for us to come here. She was really looked forward to seeing us and took care of us, and it was great. And we made friends with everybody. It was really fun.
Well, I know we're talking about a grown-up club here, so
yeah. And I guess I maybe one of the first times, or early on, I worked with her. We had some French blues musicians who wanted to come and perform when the B.B. King Museum was opening, and they wanted to play in all the juke joints. And this was the first place we brought them.
Okay.
And they knew all about Club Ebony. People from Europe know a lot about the blues and the blues history. And that was so much fun. And so that led to Blues Society. That led to me having blues challenges.
So when you say Blues Society, okay, so you mean the actual housing, the blues performances here, and this is a competition,
right?
So
Indianola has a Blues Society.
Okay.
Gosh, I think we formed in 2003.
Okay.
And the town is very supportive, and it's been really good for the musicians here because they've gotten to go to Memphis, and other people hear them, and they love Mississippi blues musicians, and they get to go to Europe, playing festivals, and I know you've been in our challenge.
Yeah,
it opened doors for you too, didn't it?
I tried it a time or two. Yeah, the only thing I remember is getting into the club and maybe as a youngster, you say I say a youngster. I was a grown up, coming into the place, but I was a youngster compared to all the old blues men, and they always used to try to tell me, stay away from that bottle, young man, which of course I listened a few times and sometimes I didn't, you know. But you know, when I was talking about this place, the club being like a grown-up spot, you know, sometimes people came here, you know, to relieve the tension, you know, of the week, and sometimes they came to get into some other things, especially, you know, we were going to be doing some drinking, some dancing, and some other things, you know. But what was nightlife like for you in the first time you came into a club like this, you know, and we're talking about an African American experience, the black club on the other side of town. What was that like for you?
They have fun, and I love watching them dance and get into the music and everything. But it wasn't crazy. It really wasn't.
What? Oh, you mean crazy?
And I wasn't crazy, so it wasn't. It was just fine.
Well, you say it wasn't crazy. You talk about not too much what?
Like people. I don't know. You're talking about people getting drunk.
Oh, okay.
It just, you know, it wasn't.
So no moonshine around while the club was.
Well, I think there was.
Yeah,
I do
can
think
imagine
there was.
that there was moonshine going on.
Maybe I'm a little naive, so I didn't really know everything going on.
You tried the Mississippi Delta. You know, my friend Robert Terrell, who, of course, is the one responsible for helping redesign this club as it is, talked about possibility there might even been a moonshine or steel in this club somewhere. So who knows? You never know about that part of it.
Yeah.
But that's just the life of being in early clubs like in the Chitlin Circuit and what we call juke joints and you know, places where people came to have a little fun after a long week of work.
You know, Mary kept everything okay.
Oh yeah.
She really did. I mean,
she was a patrolman now.
She did. Yeah, she was really something else.
And I think
everybody respected her, and she ran this club very well. Yeah. Very well.
Yeah, I think people did respect her. That was my impression when I first met her. Yeah, that you have to respect Miss Mary, or some other things might take place. Yeah. So I always appreciated that too. Yeah. Well, tell us a little bit more about why you thought it was important to start a blues society, and how important was the club in respect of helping the blues society mature.
We knew that there was going to be a B.B. King museum, and some other people that were living here went to Memphis to the International Challenge, and we'd never heard of it. And it was Carol Marble, in fact, who went. And she came home and she said, Janet, you have got to go to Memphis. You have got to go see what I just saw. And I went, and it was like, we got to do this. So we started having a band and a solo challenge. Taking our musicians, they were having an international blues challenge with no Mississippi participation at all.
Oh, and you had to fix that.
And we were ready to go. We were ready to go and take our musicians. And we would have solo and blues and band the same night. And then eventually it evolved to band one day and then solo another day.
You mean in terms of the auditions
and doing
here?
the challenge, the competition.
Now, this is auditions taking place at Club Ebony.
In Club Ebony, we got bands from all over the state to come. They wanted to play in this club. They knew the history, and they knew that it was, you know, BB had played here. They wanted to play on that stage. And that was one of my things I would tell them to get them to come, too. Right. Whatever you would call it.
Well, slick promo.
And, that was one of them. And we went to Memphis and we had winners. We were good. We got known real quick.
Well, this is where the blues is.
I know.
Mississippi.
Carol Marble did, and I was helping start Main Street downtown, and she asked me to help her because she knew I knew people. And oh my God, Blues Society was way more fun than Main Street.
No.
You're not taping this, are you?
Yeah, we tell you, he's going to edit out what needs to be
Okay.
edited out, but we get
Okay.
the shots.
And
on.
I was hooked. I
So-
was hooked, and I went to Memphis, and I raised money to send these people, and it was very rewarding. It did more for me than I did for it. Mm-hmm. It gave me purpose. I saw that it changed people's lives. Me, I saw that it was helping people. It was promoting our town, and it was fun.
So how much involvement are you now with the Blues
I'm
Society?
right there.
You're
I'm
still,
right there doing
still
it.
at the forefront, yeah. And I notice we get information about it, on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Try to tell us what's going on with it.
What else was really wonderful was we had so much support. We had Scott Beretta and Dorothy Moore and Jesse Robinson.
These are some great names, yeah.
And Roger Stoley and Shelley Ritter. I'm going to leave someone out. But, they all were just right there helping us. And I sure didn't know what I was doing. Patty Johnson.
That's how most of the great things are done, by not knowing what you're doing.
Yeah. Well, I know what I don't know.
That's right.
And I will ask for help. And I will listen.
So what were some of the regions that people came here to participate from? Because I know you pulled a lot of musicians from
Tupelo, Pontotoc,
Jackson, of course.
Jackson, and all of the Delta, Leland, Greenville, Rosedale, Cleveland,
Indianola.
Yeah. All of the Delta. Our Delta musicians help Clarksdale. Clarksdale has a lot of musicians that live there. They would come, they were supporting our challenge. They were helping us do it, whether they won or not. Right. They were helping us. Well, everybody was helping everybody.
I'm going to say this because I got you on the microphone now. And Janet doesn't do a lot of talking. So, but now that we have her talking, you can see the wealth of information that she shared. But I remember the competition, and the first time I came in to compete, you cut me. No, not you, but the judges. Judges said, "No, we got."
I do not get involved with how they do. They know what they're doing.
Yeah. Oh no,
and I am very proud that we had a very fair competition.
I was saying that the competition, as high as it was,
yeah,
I had to get my A game up a little bit, right? But I did go to Rosedale and got with their Blues Society, and they sent me the same year I got cut from Indianola. So I faced some of those same musicians again in that field, and
you did really well when you got to IBC.
Yeah, I think I had gotten a little more prepared consciously to get ready to do the IBC as opposed to the local one.
And a lot of times, the first time that you enter, you don't win. Because there's certain things they're looking for.
Yeah.
They want it to be blues. They time it. It's timed. You go over, that's penalized.
Well, original songs and energy, a lot of things that go into it,
Right.
But I do say I went back to back in 2009 and 2010, and I at least was one of the award winners for both years. I was very, very pleased with that. And I thought about going back a third time, which is your limit. And I said, no, I'll leave it alone at this point.
Yeah.
And everything was good. Well, Janet, how instrumental was Club Ebony, in the success of the Blues Society?
It gave us a perfect venue. It was just perfect. Mary fed everybody. She had lots of people working here. It was just perfect.
And
And the bands love coming here. The bands, when you get 6 bands and they've got 5 people in each band, that's a lot of people.
Yeah.
And it's a big enough venue. You don't, when you're outside looking at it, you don't think it's very big, but it's a big venue.
Right, and I was going to say to have an audience for the band to perform in front of
Right.
was pretty key.
And they wanted to come and perform here, and then when they got here, they were all friends, and they had fun being together here, even though it was a competition.
Yeah,
They were glad to see each other.
Any filming of that time? That's just a short
I
sightedness.
think there's some, but I don't know who's got it.
Who's got them?
I think there was a little.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I wish that we had filmed it every time,
I tell you, since
especially homemade jams.
right, since BB has given this place to the museum, and we've watched it deteriorate, and now you've got the museum restoring it, right? So you think this is where you're going to try to pull off the?
Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait. And we do the challenge on Sunday afternoons now.
Okay.
And people are going to want to come see it all.
In the new
fixed
Club
up.
Ebony,
Yeah.
the new Club Ebony, beautiful.
Yeah.
Anything we need to know about?
And they, hamburgers and catfish were their specialty, and it was really good.
You sound like you.
And
you sound like you came to eat.
We
so.
fed all the musicians.
Yeah.
We had to do something for them because they were coming and playing for free, and so we made sure everybody ate, and
Yeah, well
it was good
well
times.
taken care of.
It was good times.
What about?
And I was never scared to come in here. I didn't realize that it structurally, it wasn't totally sound.
Yeah, you never had.
I
any,
just never thought about it. I just didn't want it to catch on fire because there wasn't a whole lot of ways out. But I was never scared to come in here. It was home.
Well, tell us a bit about Janet Webb. I know you appear to be shy, but I don't think that's the case. So what do you do now outside of the
some of the
Blues
things I
Society?
do. I'm the chairman of the Mississippi Blues Foundation, and we're the 501c3 for the Blues Commission, and that's who was responsible for the Blues Trail. And I've met people that I would never have known, and worked with people that are great to work with. And the Blues Trail is really wonderful that we have it. And the people that were instrumental in starting it, they knew people were passing away, and that history was leaving us. And we needed to get it right, because somebody else was going to write it, and it might not be right. And so they were, sometimes I would hear that they had just interviewed somebody and then they had gotten sick and passed away, and they had gotten that story, and so
that's
really special, because
right.
I know, and I also know that there are people who wanted Blues Trail markers, but they just couldn't get the history enough. They kept the integrity of that Blues Trail. That was really important to that first group of commissioners.
Well, that's the importance too of having such a monumental place like the B.B. King Museum in this town in Indianola, Mississippi, because without that interest, in the next generation of people and thinkers, museums do a lot to show us what was in the past, but I think the B.B. King Museum seems to go beyond that and gives such. I think that's why, of course, we say an interpretive center, is a big part of us keeping the blues alive too. And with Mississippi having now the Blues Trail markers, and the work that you guys are doing, I think it's an incredible thing, for the state. And I think we model ourselves as a state that other places are starting to see how some of these things can be done. Yeah, beautiful. Well, Janet, Since you started the Blues Society, and we know Club Ebony was your pivotal point, of introducing others to the Blues Society by letting the bands play here. The club went through a phase where it was just not physically able to house people anymore, right? So now the renovations are going on. How do you see yourself back in Club Ebony, and what will be some of the things that you think you will use Club Ebony to do now?
Well, I know we'll have the band challenge here. And I'm really looking forward to getting people to come back and come here. And we do it on Sunday afternoons. It starts at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and it's over like 6 or 7 at night.
Normally, what month is this?
And we do it in October.
Usually in October.
The last 2 weekends in October. And a musician, when we first were going to do it, well, I was logical to me, solo then band, but a musician came to me and he said, please do band first. And then if my band doesn't win, I want to come back and do solo.
Okay.
And that was just, I'm so glad he said that to me. So from the beginning, that's what we did. And that's how it is now. The next to the last Saturday, it'll be band, and it'll be here. And the solo, it will be at the Blue Biscuit.
Okay.
The next Sunday.
So you keep both places involved.
Yeah, part of our mission is to help our clubs, help our blues clubs. Mm-hmm. And so that's 2 really good ways, because we get a crowd and everybody comes and eats. And
right. So if you had somebody who's listening and who wanted to become a part of this, especially in the state of Mississippi, how can they reach you?
We have a website. Mm-hmm. We have a Facebook page. And they can call me. My phone number's on there.
Okay, what is that?
Yeah.
What is the web page? What would it? Is just?
It's we are the Mississippi Delta Blues Society of Indianola.
Okay, and what?
And if you put Indianola Blues Society, it'll come up.
Okay, you have a phone number? Yeah. Once again, we're right back here at the historic Club Ebony, right here on beautiful podcast called In Other Words. I'm Dr. Alfonso Sanders here with my beautiful friend Steve Scott, who I know at this point goes back to the beginning of Miss Mary Shepard's life as a club owner. And so I'm going to ask Steve little questions here and there. And Steve, of course, when I first met you, I was telling Robert Terrell that I thought you were like the club's, but like the bouncer, like everybody came in.
Well, I was a whole lot of things back then, but I wasn't what a lot of people thought it was. They thought I was a player, a gangster, you name it. But I'm just me.
Yeah, Steve, you always so well kept and physically fit. Looked like you could take on any competition that came through the club.
Well, one thing I done, where I was raised up at, I learned how to run.
All right.
That's the oldest fighting I know. So ain't nothing wrong.
The oldest fight you know is running.
Running, that's right.
Well, Steve, look, since you do have a history with Miss Mary Shepard as a club owner here from this is her in the early 70s, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, early 70s. So what are some of your earliest recollections of being here in the club?
Well, the thing about it, I came up with Miss Shepard, and I came up along with Willie Clayton, and there was I met BB through some fan. He had cousin I used to talk to back in the day. So I just knew some of everybody, and I kept my nose to the grindstone. I didn't want to be left out.
Yeah.
And so I knew, I forgot where I met Miss Shepard, but I had known her for years. I knew her children, I knew her husband. And that was about it. Other than that, then you came along, and I met all the singers I think that came through here. Me and Willie was raised up in Sunflower, Mississippi.
That's Willie Clayton.
Willie Clayton. And I knew BB through his peoples here in Indianola. And oh boy, let me cut this.
Well, he can edit that out. That's an old school phone, that boy.
Look, this take a licking and keep on taking. My daughter them tried to buy me one of them expensive. I said, y'all wasting your money.
Yeah.
I've been had this so long, it's pitiful.
That's cool.
But other than that,
So let's look at what it was like, to be in the presence of some of these musicians that came through Club Ebony, because I know during the early 70s, you'd have anybody coming through here from Bobby Rush to who knows who. What are some of the other people you remember coming through Club
well,
Ebony?
I remember Little Milton. Me and him, we used to chat quite a bit, and I remember BB. We did some chatting because I knew his people was here in Indianola. Just about every singer that came through during my time, I had met and we have had conversation. What it's like for them on the road and stuff like that. And other than that, I didn't miss nothing. No dances.
So what was Club Ebony like, though, for a lot of the musicians?
Well, Club Ebony, it was in other hands before Miss Shepard got it. So, and Miss Reed, they had this club. Her son George Reed. Then it came along, and I was just always here, regardless who the singers was, DJs and all that. And it was a good place to come. And I think that's where I met you, is here. I probably met you someplace else I can't remember. Probably need to keep it to myself.
No, I think the club was the point. Yeah, came here to learn to play the blues with David Lee Durham.
Oh yes, that's another thing that they should have if they send a David Lee Durham day, because he came up through the ranks. Out in the country, he could play, he could sing, but he never got that big break. And some people get it and some don't. And I don't think he was one of the type that wanted to lead. I think they tried to get him to go on the road with some other people, but he refused. He liked what he was doing, So you can't take a person out of the environment if they don't want to go.
Well, yeah, David was one of those guys that kind of stayed true to the spirit of his own hometown.
There you go. He could only play it, he could sing it.
Oh yeah.
And I miss him. I think I'm gonna put it this way: we miss him.
Yeah, I often think about David, man.
Then you came along and lifted his spirit. I think you lifted quite a few of them spirit.
Yeah. Well, we actually did, I guess, probably the first live recording here in Club Ebony.
Yeah,
and he called it "Struggling and Straining."
Sure did.
Struggling and Straining.
And they took there's a church song with "Struggling and Straining." There's a friend of mine singing at our church.
Yeah.
And stuff like struggling and straining.
Struggling and Straining. Yeah. That's David.
Yeah.
I tell you, Steve, some of the other things I remember too, like friends that used to come out, like some of these names that we probably will forget over the years, but I'd like to at least hear you talk about some of the people who came through here, because we know people, that came out, we talk about Chicken Hawk and
Chicken Hawk.
Gates. And what are some of the other people you remember?
There was George, who we call Baby George, that stayed across the street from us. There was our school teaching principal, Mr. Scott.
Oh, okay.
He came there. Andrew Brown, the principal, he came through. And we just had people coming from all over, even from Chicago and different places. Yeah. And I was always around, just put my little 2 cents in.
Yeah. Do you remember though the time that Miss Mary Shepard was talking about Denise LaSalle?
Yes,
She's some of the performance that she had when Denise LaSalle made an offer to the audience and said, if anybody out there think you can out-sing me, come up on the stage. Do you remember that night?
Yeah, I remember that night. But I wasn't going to come up here. I might have had a drink or two, and felt pretty good and lied like I was coming up here. you know, but I know to stay in my place. Because Denise was going to put on a show and make you look bad,
Yeah.
you know, if you wasn't ready. You know, and,
Yeah, but Miss Mary would tell that story. Sometimes I'd laugh. She said one time she had a challenge taker, and said Denise said she would never do that again.
yeah, well, you know, you had some really actors and crazy folks in the play.
Yeah.
Now, some of them drunks will get up, you don't want them to come back up, but they're going to show out.
Yeah.
But it was all in good fun, good clean
It's a
fun.
lot of fun. I remember. Yeah.
And the thing about it, I miss a lot of that. And when the club closed, we used to have afternoon, you know, happy hours, you know, Saturday and Sunday afternoons, you know, get some people some place to go. Then you came along and they'll follow you. You had that group. They want to know was you here. And they were coming. I was one of them, you know, so I was going to be here. So I miss that about what I done.
Right.
Well, the only thing that I did was if she was having something, a blues festival or something to somebody at a ranch at her home, I would help out. You know, whatever the club needed, and she needed me, she asked, I would do it. And that was even before she had the club. I would do the same thing. Cause this was home base. This is where I found my sweetie.
Right. So you
at the
didn't.
club.
Oh, your sweetie.
Yeah, that's where I found her in the club.
Oh, okay. So you'd have met your sweetheart here at Club Ebony.
Yeah, I shouldn't have showed up that night.
Okay. But that's a beautiful thing.
But other than that,
So, but you weren't afraid to be a helping hand whenever you.
oh
were
no,
in the club.
no. If whatever she asked, you know, if I could do it, I'd do it. You know, so it was like a family. You know, we hung out here and did what we could. It wasn't just only me, but Clarence Earl, you remember him?
Yeah.
Yeah, he passed. You know, he was here, and we were just all here. This was our spot.
Yeah, I forgot about Clarence.
Yeah, this was our spot. Then you came along and really blowed it out of spot. Yes, sir. You were the man.
You must like that music. You keep talking about me on this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's how a lot of people got to know you.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, again, right here you're listening to a podcast with Dr. Alfonso Sanders, known as In Other Words, which I always tell people, Bobby, that in other words is just another way to say something simple about the truth. You know, we always say in other words.
Yeah, in other words, you know,
But I'm sitting here with my dear friend and longtime musician buddy, Mr. Bobby Rush.
Well, thank you, Sanders, and I appreciate you. You're my pal and forever.
Thank you, baby. Thank you.
Let me start off by saying thank you for all the things you have done, all the things you're doing, and the things you plan to do. Because what you say about me and this place, we're talking about Indianola and Club Ebony, is what people perceive it to be. So thank you for getting together with me. Let's talk about starting off with about myself and where I came and what I know about Indianola and this place we call the Chitlin Circuit.
Yeah, well, hey, that's a big part of it.
I was telling you earlier that 1948, Johnny Jones built this place. I had it built, rather. And he didn't live to see all the things could come out of this place, as it's called Club Ebony. 4 years later, he passed. And then Sue's relatives, part of that situation from Leland, Mississippi, came in and they run the place for some years. And then came in Mary Shepard and her husband. He was a barber. And in the front of this place, they had a barber shop.
You know, that's interesting because I found it, but Robert discovered a chair in here. It was a barber's chair.
Yeah, that's what
inside the club when they started digging out all the stuff in the back.
That's what it was, a barber shop for a few months, and then the club. Then they opened it up for the club again, like it was when Johnny Jones had it.
Oh, okay.
And I believe myself and Albert King were one of the first two men coming here and open up for her.
Well, she said
After that, then come Little Milton and Denise Sale. Mm-hmm. and from that on, and I believe
Well,
Tyrone Davis came in here.
Miss Mary tell the story. She was saying Lil Milton was first.
She made it. He may have been first of when she had it, but someone else had it before that.
Oh, okay.
Johnny Jones,
Okay.
I think maybe myself and Bobby Bland were the first who comes in before she had the place.
Oh, okay. Oh.
So it was a place. This has been Ebony before Mary Shepard had it.
Ebony.
But I think she had it as longer than anybody had it. And I think if it wasn't for the B.B. King associating with coming back into Indianola and doing the B.B. King Day, I think Mary Shepard was a big part of making that happen.
Oh, she certainly was.
She was a big part, and that's probably haven't been told, but she was a big part of that.
Yeah, BB was very kind and generous, but he adored her.
Oh,
So
he
she
adored
was-
Mary, and Mary, he adored Mary, and Mary adored him, and it was a business situation where they swapped off ideas and talked about the thing they wanted to do, what they could not do, what they wished they could do, and all these things. But I tell you what, this probably is, if it's not the oldest, one of the oldest blues clubs, not just in Mississippi, in the country now. One of the oldest clubs in the country. When you talk about the Chitlin Circuit, let me tell the people something about the Chitlin Circuit, not just because it's a black club. It just happens to be a black club. But the Chitlin Circuit is dumbly blues and black club from the back. But now we still have the Chitlin Circuit, but they own and operate it with white guys owning them. But Club Ebony is still what was and still is owned and operated by black. Now, the B.B. King Museum is a part of this hub of the Indianola, and I'm so proud of that because the blues is the foundation, is the mother of all music. If you don't like the blues, you probably don't like your mama.
And I like my mama.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Well, I thank you for having this chat with me about the Club Ebony. It's not just about Club Ebony, although we sit here in Club Ebony. That's a meaning to that. But I'm talking about this Club Ebony is the mother of a lot of places like this. People not talking about them anymore. They don't talk about the Chitlin Circuit, man. They don't talk about it.
Yeah, because you got a lot of history with orchestras like Count Basie.
Oh, come on. Oh,
Big band.
Speaking about Count Basie, this weekend in Florida, Tallahassee, Florida, the book convention, Count Basie's band, which Scotty
Barnhart.
Scotty Barnhart
Yeah.
had the band there, 42 pieces. Then there was another band leader, Ben, and Ben had, I think it was 61-piece band.
Oh.
61-piece
Well, that's
orchestra.
a big orchestra.
Yeah, well, Scotty had about 9 people different, but both of them was good in their own rights and in their own direction, and I enjoyed that. And I was there with my harmonica, standing up on the bandstand, telling my story and about my music and what I do. But it was all overall, it was a great book festival and music festival.
Right, beautiful, man.
Yeah, it's great.
Well, I do know that Ms. Mary Shepard has always thought very highly of you, and she said, "Well,
Same thing,
She
I
said,
think
"Well,
that.
Alfonso, if you can get Bobby to come up and talk on this," she said, "I would be very, very proud." So you go way back with Miss Mary.
I go back with Miss Mary Shepard. I'll tell you this. I came up to do a show for Miss Mary Shepard, myself, Little Milton, and I had a van and a trailer. We was out in the park, out in the fields, and I got stuck. And Mary Shepard took the old tractor, drove it down, and pulled me out the mud. I'm talking about she pulled me out the mud. Mary Shepard. That's my friend.
Can you tell me this though? Miss Mary tells a story, and I gotta get it verified by you, because stories change. But Miss Mary said that you had a horse like
Horse trailer.
A horse trailer.
Horse trailer.
They had to say you rather than putting a horse in, you put your music stuff.
Yeah,
in
that
it.
it was a horse trailer. I liked it because it had the round nose on it so the wind can go around it. Had a horse trailer. And I got it stuck out there trying to do something for Mary Shepard, And it wasn't no money. It was friendship was involved, and I didn't want to let her down, and my fan was involved. Didn't want to let my fans down, and we pulled it out the mud and went on with the show, man. It was a horse trailer. I had it behind a van. Oh man, just
she was telling me about all the stuff that she went through, man, about the putting the milk crates together so we could have some steps to stand on, and she just said that she had a time, to try to put things together when you didn't have no money to do it.
We didn't have no money, didn't have a lot of know-how how to do certain things because you didn't have no money to do it with. But we did what we had to do out of love and did the best and made the best out of what we had. And I don't regret anything I ever done. Everything I did wasn't just right, but if I had to do everything I did in the past, if I had to do it over, I would do it again because I did the best thing I could do at the time I did it.
Right. And let me ask you this in terms of where the history is, right? You got so many songs. I know your catalog. I mean, because I don't know all the songs, but I know about your catalog. I mean, hundreds of songs.
417 records. As of this year, 417 records I recorded.
Now, my question is, do you remember, in your early years, what was some of the songs on your act when you got to Club Ebony for the first time?
Just Be Yourself. Things I used to do, won't do no more. What Now? And then later on, Sue came in well later, but before that time, 55 years ago, Chicken Heads came in.
Oh.
Yeah.
Chicken Heads, is that old?
Oh, yeah, 55 years. Yeah, 55 years. You getting old, man.
No. I don't know if I'm getting over that music is
yeah,
getting
55
old.
years ago.
And so you come all the way from Chicken Head to Porcupine Meat to get a Grammy.
I was 83 years old when I got my first Grammy. But, Doctor, I remember most of the songs. And I'm thinking about, since you said that, out of 411 songs, I can remember at least 365 songs. I wrote a song in 1956. So in a little shack down by the bay, not far from New Orleans, I met this pretty woman down there when I was about 19. She went and told her daddy she wanted to marry me, and the look on her daddy's face was a sight to see. He said, "Get out of here, and don't you come back no more." Well, I wanted to meet her daddy like a young man oughta, but he didn't want no blues singer like Bobby Ray to get married to his daughter. So when I come by the house that day, he met me at the door. Dad, Mom, Big Brother John, the dog named Bo. Well, her brothers and sisters sick the dogs on me, made them tear off all my clothes. I was running fast trying to get away down a dusty road. I was running fast trying to get away, and I crossed a railroad track. I could hear the kid throwing rocks at me every time I stopped to look back, saying, "Get out of here, and don't you come back no more." When I sneaked down to get married, the judge decided to swear, "Take this woman for your lawful wife and not a one-night love affair." Before I could open my mouth to say I do, guess who walked through the door? Dad, Mom, Big Brother John, dog named Bo. Well, I thought if I wanted to get married anyway, I had to find a way to elope. I decided to go to Las Vegas so I could get away from nosy folk. See, I wanted to get away from a folk because there's a reason for that. But as soon as I got to Las Vegas, you know, the same day I walked in, that was all that Ken, all the friends, that damn dog again. I say that to you and laugh about it because I can recite you 300 songs like that.
Wow. That's why we got to get you back for a special podcast. If we have to do 10 series, we need to get it done. I don't care how many series it takes. We need to capture the whole story of Bobby Rush, because coming out of Louisiana.
Well, you know, Doc, I came from an area where you have to remember, because I remember going to Chicago the first time in 1951, coming from Arkansas and Louisiana, where my dad taking me out of school when I was 11 or 12 years old. He said, "I want you to get a job with Mr. E.L. Burgess in his gin. They only pay you $3.50 a week, but you can bring me all the news for me and my people." Now, you got to understand, me and my people. My daddy was like the Martin Luther King in the neighborhood. So he was this black preacher who had his pastor 2 churches. What he wanted me to do to go into the field and find out what they were doing in the field, then go into the gin and what it was gin and cotton. I had to, when all the white people were sitting around the table talking about the Dow Jones, and black people didn't know what Dow Jones was. Dow Jones was nothing but the white people were talking about what they were going to sell, how much they're going to sell it for, who they're going to sell it to around the table. I was a little boy with sand in my pocket and a rag in the other pocket, and I would sprinkle around their shoes so I could wipe their shoes off while they tell the story. And when I get home in the afternoon, my daddy being a preacher, he said, Junior, I'm named after my father. I said, yes, sir. He said, what you here today? I said, you can sell the peanut, sell the cotton, but don't sell no hay, because I know the price of it. He would go to the churches, Sunday school at 10 o'clock in the morning. He would call everybody at 9:30 and tell the black people what to sell, what not to sell from my information. So I had to remember that.
So you were inside trader.
I was inside trader. That's what I was doing, inside. And I couldn't let the people know that I could read or write, because they wouldn't talk around me if they knew I could comprehend what they were saying.
Wow.
And that wasn't new. It is still like that today.
What
and I remember.
Well, like I said, we're gonna get back and do some real digging into the life and history of Bobby Rush.
Well, thank you for having me on. Talk about.
But we need to before we leave though, I'm gonna dig a little bit further into your life about Miss Mary Shepard, because when we put this document together here, you know, we're gonna be putting information in around the story that we've already gotten from Miss Shepard, right? But Miss Shepard, as a club owner, how did y'all come about, you know, striking deals? You know, what was it like, you know, to negotiate with Miss Mary or have her as a business lady?
Whatever she said was her word. She didn't promise you anything, you didn't get anything. But if she promised her something, whatever she promised you, you got that. And sometimes even beyond what she promised you, you would get that. She made some money, you make some money.
What are some of the earliest door deals y'all made? What were they like?
I made a many time out working with her, 70-30, 50-50, 80-20. I made a lot of different deals. When I first, it was like 50-50, and she get 50 and I get 50%. And later on it comes to 70-30, and sometime we do it 50-50. She said, well, you know, we had a 50-50 deal, but it really ain't nothing but a 50 here, so we...
Say no 100 to pull it out, and we already starting off at half.
We start off at half, but you know, I laugh about it, but the friendship steady built and got greater because she was a woman of her word, and she lived by what she say, because whatever she said is what she meant. Yeah. She lived by that.
Yeah, that's beautiful, man.
And we come to be the best of friends. You know, I think a lot of her, she think a lot of me, and that's Mary Shepard. Hey, God bless her.
Well, I know we get some of the sounds because we're sitting in the historic Club Ebony, but the guys are still back there working on it because they got a June 1st deadline.
They got a June 1st. We understand that, but we would talk a little longer, but they got some sewing to do, some hammering to do, some drilling to do, and they letting us know that 10 minutes is up.
That's right. My friend Bobby Rush, y'all.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you.
You know I love you. Yes, I love you. To the bottom of my heart. But you gone and left me for someone else. Of you every day. Yes, I dream of you every night. But you gone and left me for someone else. blues with you. There you go. As a drummer, he get carried away. But we're going to have to give him a list of them.